And at this time that you became a pastor, at
Yeah.
this period where you
Yeah.
became a pastor, was it a conviction? Was it something that you took interest in? And also, did you feel like there was a culture shock with the way people preach here?
Well,
Eh,
I mean, first off, I never was like maybe that called to be a pastor, you know what I'm saying? But it was something that needed to be done, and I felt there was like a lot that I had to offer people in terms of just, encouragement and
yeah.
understanding things. And what was a little funny about the way of the pastoring here is in most of the churches they would do like a joint Swahili and
Yeah.
English, right? So
Yes.
I would preach in English and then
And
it
then
would be
you preach in
translated this
Swahili.
kind of.
Yeah.
And so I remember one time I went out to Kibera and I was preaching in Kibera and I had a really good sermon I was preaching. And then after I finished, the guy I went with, he said, that pastor, he preached a different sermon than what you, the Kiswahili sermon
Wow.
was not the same thing that you preached. So
Oh, he was misleading the crowd.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of crazy things happen in those churches. I mean, I don't know what church you go to, but a lot of these churches, I mean, ladies jumping like frogs,
And they fall down.
kicking the chairs everywhere,
Yes.
flying everywhere. So I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in like the Methodist church, which is a very kind of like the Anglican in a way.
Yeah,
It's
actually,
like
I'm Anglican.
you have the
Mm,
organ and the
mm.
choir, and it's just very kind of reserved. And then
And then
yeah.
when you're done, that's it. But personally, actually, I was a Muslim and then I became a Christian.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
So
even with the Muslim religion is very organized.
yes.
You go in, you pray, you
Yeah.
listen to the sermon, you go home. And
Yes.
actually, even women are not allowed in the mosque.
Yeah.
So it's just us young people going to madrasa and, learning whatever you need to learn about your religion and then going home.
Yeah.
So I can imagine the experience. Oh, that must have been fun.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, and as the pastor, they were like calling on me to cast out the demons and to.
So they were calling you to cast out the demons.
I mean, I just you see some interesting things, and
Wow.
yeah, people they're coming to you with their problems is the way I see it. They're needing help, right? They're needing.
At that moment, you tell them, cast your burdens to Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's part of the challenge that I had because a lot of the churches, I think there's a lot of misleading in a lot of the churches in
Yes,
Africa.
yes, yes. And there's a lot of religious brainwash as well.
Yes, exactly. And so, it's definitely a fine line because in the environment that I was in was very much I kind of call it like more the Pentecostal way of doing things. And
Mm.
um, you know, what the way I always looked at it is like there's a lot of things in the Bible that are definitely there, right? A
Yes,
lot of
yes.
the fruits of the spirit, a lot of the speaking in tongues, the prophecy, the miracle healing,
Yeah.
the all these things, they're there, right?
Mm.
And so I would never discourage anybody from, you know, believing in that and like trying to,
This, yeah,
to
I
think.
understand you, yeah.
But what I always would train the pastors, I say like if you're going to bring somebody up on the stage and do a miracle healing, you better be sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Don't be like these guys, because you see all these guys that are just like the miracle healing and they call it the courtesy drop where they push your
They
head,
push you and then
you
you fall.
fall, right? Oh, there's so much of that, particularly in a lot of the churches I've been here in
Yeah,
Africa,
yeah.
right? Yeah, sure. I mean, you could heal somebody, but like the way I always would tell them is like, look, I'm missing the colored parts of my eyes. Okay.
Mhm.
When a pastor comes to me and the colored parts of my eye grow, yeah, we're good.
You're good. I'll believe that.
I'll believe it. Or if I see somebody come in a wheelchair missing a leg and the
Yes.
leg appears,
Like there's a time.
praise God, let's go.
Yeah.
But I've never seen that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even seen a video of it,
Yeah.
So I think there's some, I wouldn't say limitations, but I think you have to set the expectations of what can happen. I believe people can be healed. I believe people can,
True.
I
True.
mean, there's a lot that I do believe, but I think that I think it's very few and far between. And I think people that are doing it really have to know what they're doing. They have to be very confident. And I think a lot of the pastors I've seen in Africa,
Mm.
they do it for show.
And I think also you as an individual, you have to believe.
Yes,
You have
exactly.
to believe because that person cannot do it for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, there's all these components involved, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, but yeah, a lot of the pastors I've seen, it's a lot of show. It's a lot of trying to take people's money. We'll send in this money and you'll get healed. And a lot of
You know,
people
we
have,
have this pasta called Kanyari where you
yeah,
send 300 shillings.
yeah,
Actually, it's
exactly.
310 shillings.
310 shillings, that's what
And
it
then
takes. You'll be healed.
and then he tells you, place your hand on the TV, I pray for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I really struggled a lot with
Yeah.
that because I mean I even remember as a kid,
Mhm.
I had this friend and he had like some muscle disease or he was very sick, like he
Yeah.
could barely move
Mhm.
and I remember, we had on those preachers, the healing preachers, and he
Yeah.
said, come up to the front and you'll get the push you and you'll be healed and
And you'll be
everything
okay. Yeah.
and I knew this friend of mine. I knew he really believed. He was a strong Christian believer,
Mhm.
and um, of course, he goes up to the front and he gets the healing, and
Yeah.
he's not fixed.
Mm.
Nothing happened,
Mhm.
and it wasn't because the friend didn't believe. It's the guy was, he had like something very serious, and for whatever reason, God was like not choosing to do anything about that
Yeah.
situation. It
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
anything that the guy believed.
And some of these things are biological as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's
Mm.
just, and I go up there as well. Okay, everybody always prays, "Oh, heal my eyesight." Okay, great. If it happens, I'm totally for it. I believe, it could happen.
And me
Fine.
personally, I'm very paranoid about somebody just placing their hands on me and praying for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Personally, I'm very paranoid with
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think people have to set the expectation. And again, I'm not saying that miracles don't happen, or I'm not
They
saying
do
that
happen.
people get miraculously healed. I've seen it happen,
Mm.
but you know, I think just be wary of the pastors who
Yes.
are promoting a lot, if you're promoting that type of thing, because I think you have to be very careful about it. So
Okay.
yeah, that's about the advice I'd give to people. And I learned a lot from that, particularly seeing a lot of people who needed a lot of help, and they would come to me like, heal me now,
Pray for
fix it,
me.
pray for me, fix it. Oh
Do,
yeah, I'll
do
pray.
they used to give you tithe?
What's that?
Tithe,
Yeah,
the
yeah, oh, yeah,
tithing.
yeah. I mean,
Mm.
like I mentioned, it wasn't what you call it, wasn't like a salaried position. So if but at the same time, I'm not going to take any money from somebody
Of course,
with
yeah.
the guarantee of healing you.
Hmm.
It's not that. That's not the way it works.
Yeah.
I never claim to be able to heal people.
Yeah.
I'd pray for them. Everybody.
And hoping it will be well.
Yeah. And then we would also have a lot of people that would come on the prophecy side, and it's the same situation because I remember one time a guy came and he would prophesy about like somebody would show him a machine, and it's like I've got this expensive machine, and so the guy would prophesy and he'd be like, I'm getting a word from God that this machine is very expensive and you need to protect it.
Mm.
Well, that's not a prophecy. That's just
It's not a
common
prophecy. Yeah.
knowledge.
It's common knowledge,
Yeah,
and maybe it's something he has asked you before,
yeah,
and now they need to ask you. Now they need to prophesy, quote unquote, about it.
yeah, exactly.
But now at this point, you're in Kenya. You're doing basically you're doing evangelism. Yeah.
Yeah,
How did you decide to now? Okay, of course that
shift.
you have not ditched
Yeah,
it
right, sure,
completely,
right.
but now you are moving into tech.
Yeah.
You are becoming a
Well, I mean,
CTO.
yeah, so, as I kind of mentioned, I'd worked in tech for about 10 years before,
Yeah.
coming to Kenya, and it was really where my original passion was.
Mm.
So I always wanted to be involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, life became very difficult being a missionary. It was like I mentioned, there's no, it's very hard to
Of
continue
course, yeah.
to go back to your friends and family.
Mm.
And, people are very interesting when they donate to projects. They want to see specific things. Like they're very comfortable donating to a kid, okay, I'll give a little money for, to support a kid
School fees.
or a very tangible product. I'll build a building, but they're not interested in helping you live. and
Yes,
and
yes.
even on the meager way of living. I know some missionaries, like what their friends and family do, they'll send used tea bags. So they use you have the tea in the bag. They use the tea,
And
and
then,
then they'll ship it to Kenya and say,
wow.
"Here's we're providing you some food."
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's the way some people, not everybody. There's lots of good people out there, but some
Yes.
people, they don't realize what it takes to like live in this
Mm.
environment, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we know Kenya's not a cheap place to live.
It's
It's
not a
not.
cheap place.
It's
Actually, Kenya is very expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, so I needed to have something that was going to be a little bit more sustainable,
Mm.
long term
Yeah.
for me. So and during this time also, what I'll point out is like we through the children's home, we ended up bringing a child in to live with us from the children's home who had
So
been
you adopted a child.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. So um, who's been with us for many years now, and so
Wow.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and so through this experience, like I've you know came up with some opportunities, and I started going to work with this company called 1 Acre Fund,
Mm-hmm.
which is
I think I've heard about 1 Acre
yeah,
Fund. Yeah.
1 Acre Fund's a company that does microfinance for smallhold farmers. So it's across many different countries in Africa, and I got to get back into tech, working with 1 Acre Fund, and basically providing small loans to farmers for fertilizer and seed. You give them
Yeah.
fertilizer and seed, and after they did their harvest, they pay you back. And
Yes.
that required a lot of technology to be able to track all the payments from the farmers, to do the logistics. All the fertilizer would be imported from places like the Middle East, and you have to get it past all the customs and everything,
Yes,
and
yes, yes, definitely.
get it on the trucks and make sure that the fertilizer didn't disappear by the time it got to the
Come here, you get empty lorries.
yeah, exactly, get
Yeah.
it across different countries. So
Yeah.
I worked on a lot of projects about procuring all these things and the logistics around it and the payments and all the stuff that would go into making that
Yeah.
operation. And then just continuing, did that for a few years. Then I had the opportunity, which is a really great opportunity, to become the chief technology officer at SafeBoda, which is a big ride hailing
Yes,
company.
yes, yes. Was
It's
SafeBoda the same as Taxify, or that is different?
No, it's different. So SafeBoda is a company that was started in Uganda by a couple of guys from Europe who had actually worked at 1 Acre Fund, and then they took off and they started SafeBoda, and it's all about the safety of the motorcycle with the hats and the hairnets.
Helmet,
You'll
yeah.
see these helmets, and if you see the guys in the orange colored reflectors, and they have these orange helmets, you'll see them around. So I got the opportunity to take a leadership position there, which is a good startup, exciting startup environment as
Yeah.
well. And so everything kind of grew and more responsibility and impact, as I was being able to impact a lot more people. And so I was working with SafeBoda doing that for a few years as well. And then now just recently I had another exciting opportunity. So this last month, I changed my role, and I've moved to join as an engineering manager position with a company called Paystack, which was the first. I don't know exactly where it is in the funding rounds, but it's like definitely one of the first African companies to be acquired by a U.S. company called Stripe in the technology space. So
Yes.
so they were the first into the Y Combinator, which is a big kind of venture investment program.
Of course, yeah.
And so they've had a really big success story there in Nigeria. So and it's a pretty big growing company. So I've recently switched over now to work with them. So I've kind of worked in all the areas of Africa, trying to learn as much as I can.
I can imagine. And what were your initial impressions, the technology-wise, in
Yeah.
the tech environment? What were your initial impressions when it came to how advanced we are, maybe in Kenya and maybe in Uganda, and how does that look for you when it comes to work?
Yeah, things were when I first came, it was very basic. Like the internet was really bad. We couldn't even watch a movie when I first came. Like we would try to watch the movie and it'd be buffering.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't very advanced when I came.
Yeah.
And things have changed drastically over that time. And it's part of like being a leader in technology that um, you always have to look at and tell people like, well, not everybody has a smartphone, but
Yeah.
the penetration is going to be there very soon. It's going to be proliferating across all the villages everywhere. People will have smartphones
Of
faster
course,
than we
yeah.
think. I believe. I mean, I noticed that when I was out in the Maasai area, and as you see the Maasai guy in the pool,
Maasai cloth.
he's got everything, and he just whips out his phone
It's
and
yeah.
like it on Instagram. You're like, what is
Guys,
it?
I am herding my cows.
Yeah, herding my cows and
Yeah.
like watching some TikTok, and
Yeah.
yeah. When I saw that, I was like, okay, now things are.
Things are great, yeah.
Yeah. And so what's actually interesting now is, and I think COVID drove a lot of this, is like you're seeing tech come into the country like way faster than it was,
Yeah.
because now a lot of the US companies or European companies, Middle Eastern companies in Dubai, even India, China, they but things became global because they're like, okay, we're going to do the work from home, and we're going to have this
Yes.
remote working
Yes. Yes.
idea,
Yes. And I
which
don't think we have recovered from working from home.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before nobody had that idea, and then all of a sudden, like a company in Germany goes, "Hey, you know what? Maybe there's some programmers down in Kenya. Let me get them on my company." And because of YouTube and all the online courses, well, the Kenyan developers pick stuff up real quickly because it's
course,
like
yeah.
it's all the education is there. You don't have to go to Harvard or
Or
Oxford,
anything.
all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
programs to learn how to do basic programming. And so guys started picking it up, and then there became this nice kind of synergy between the two countries because the Germany, like say Germany, they're saying, okay, well we usually are paying this high salary, which is like 10 times what the Kenyan developer's making. The
Mm.
Kenyan developers coming and saying, well, I'll take a salary that's like 3 times what I used to make, and it's still cheaper than what the Germany company was
Yes.
paying.
Mm.
So they kind of came to this equilibrium where, you know, Kenyans are getting more money for doing software development. Germany companies saving a little bit of money. Everybody wins, and now people have jobs, and then things are moving faster.
Of course, yeah, there's motion.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think there's a lot of that happening. I mean, I don't know how much it's happening, but I see it a lot. It's been a struggle in software development because you get guys that they're running like 4 different jobs and they don't tell you about it because
True,
they
true.
have their job where they're working for you in Kenya, and then at nighttime they're working for a company on
Something
the other side of
else,
the
yeah.
world. They're working for a company in the U.S. But people are
And
making pretty good money, I think.
I think has been my biggest problem personally because I'm very much interested in the service industry
Yeah.
on a tech level.
Yeah.
But every single time you're trying to onboard somebody to push that idea or to make sure that idea materializes,
Right.
it takes so much time
Mhm.
to make sure that you get the results.
Yes.
So I fully understand you.
Yeah, it's been a real challenge, but I think that
Hmm.
that whole system, it's so things are just moving exponentially.
Yeah.
Before when when I first came here, when you would talk to people, there were some software developers, but it was not much going on really. I mean, it was
Very basic.
very basic things.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't any big tech companies in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And now, you go out to Westlands or someplace, start talking to people. This guy works in AI, health care.
Yeah. Very true.
This guy works in,
True.
building the banking, financial, fintech, like,
I had somebody the other day say they're using Pegasus to hack into systems and all that. I'm like,
yeah,
wow, okay. So just a click like this and you can be able to access everything. I'm like, yeah, that is what they do. Actually, it's an organization that sponsors them to do that.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people are doing crazy stuff
Yeah.
that you would and it's so they have the tools. All they need is a computer, a laptop,
Yeah.
internet connection, and then so what I think is going to be interesting is I think that Kenya and other countries in Africa are going to be moving at a much more accelerated pace than the rest of the world. Like the
Yes.
people in the U.S., they're kind of like comfortable,
Because they're already advanced to some level.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're not that hungry for it. I mean, some people are, but it's like people here when you come from the village and all of a sudden you've been making nothing, and then all of a sudden you're given the opportunity to do this AI project, and you can drastically increase your family's future, right?
Yeah.
People are really hungry for it, and
Of
so
course. Yeah.
it's growing exponentially fast. So
Yeah.
I, I think people are going to be surprised because Africa's got a bigger population,
True.
lots of
True. Very
people, lots
true.
of young
A
people.
lot of young people who are also interested in tech.
Yeah,
They believe tech is the future.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still there's a long way to go, particularly in like the manufacturing sector, electronics. Like, I think there's a lot of industries that need a lot of money and capital to grow. But I think like things like software development, where you just need the laptop. I
Exactly.
mean,
To
I think a
push your
lot can
projects
happen.
forward, yeah. And
Yeah.
I think we also they say that Africa we are mostly consumers,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to manufacturing.
Yeah.
Any other thing that does not involve tech, we are mostly consumers. So even there's a very huge opportunity in this space for growth and development.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I would see. And maybe the next Microsoft or Google or these big companies could be here in Kenya. Somebody might start these big ideas.
Exactly.
And I
Yeah.
see that in the industry that I'm working with, like the pay stack and just the ability to open up payments to different companies, and just these ideas that weren't even there 10 years ago now are just like, hey, we can accept payments here.
Yeah.
You can have mobile money and cards and just bank transfers and things
Yeah.
that were just very crazy. Because I remember when I first started sending money to build schools here in Africa, you would go to your bank in the U.S. and you would send a transfer. You'd have to go into an office and fill out paperwork
Of course,
and
yeah.
send this bank transfer. And I remember the first transfer I made, I didn't know there were these rules about you couldn't send more than $10,000, and I
Wow.
needed to pay for some school construction, and so
Yeah.
I sent like $12,000, and so all of a sudden the money like it kind of like disappeared. the guy was supposed to go to the bank and pick it up, and they said they won't give us the money.
Yeah.
And so then I call the bank in Africa and try to explain to them. They think I'm like laundering money. They think I'm like doing some illegal
So you're
activity,
scamming them.
or just like they're, yeah, I don't know why, but they like holding up the money. And we got it resolved, but it was like such a big hassle and a pain.
Yeah.
And every time you'd send money, you'd just be so nervous that something was going to get stolen or that some bad actor was going to happen.
You know, the first time you mentioned Paystack, I thought you were talking, it was BlueStack. There's a difference
Oh,
between BlueStack and Paystack.
yes, definitely a
Yeah.
difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So Paystack currently that's where you are
yeah.
working at.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And how are you how are you adapting? Because I know you're always in a different project. How are you?
No, yeah, things are going really well. I think it's exciting to be in this space that, particularly payments, money is the way that drives the economy. Like I
Of course,
think
yeah.
ultimately,
Finances.
for the economy to grow, there has to be like seamless payment systems. So I'm excited to be involved in that technology because it's like the forefront of technology. The things are happening, kind of getting away from these old, outdated systems. Like I mentioned, working in the U.S. government. When I worked for the government, um, I remember there was this lady. I was trying to like improve some systems, right? So my job was to go around and interview people and ask them questions about the systems they were using.
Yeah.
And this one lady, she had this sign on her desk, and she said the VAX Queen, VAX is the word, VAX Queen.
Yeah.
And you probably don't know what this is, but this was a computer that existed in like the 1970s. They called it a mini computer, this big computer that would sit there.
Yeah.
And she called herself the VAX Queen for this. So she's real proud of this computer from the 1970s that she was only in charge of. And so I asked her, my job was to find out her job. And so I said, tell me about the job that you do. And she said, well, every day at noon, a prompt comes up on my green screen here and I click a button.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you do for your job?
Yeah.
I mean, given this lady probably made, let's say she probably made 6 million shillings a year.
Yeah.
Okay. I push this button. What else do you do? Oh, nothing. I have to be here every day, and I have to, when the screen comes up, I push this button.
Okay.
And this is for the U.S. Navy. So start asking now, what happens if you don't push the button? What happens? She said, I don't know. I said, well, what does the button do when you push it? I don't know. Does it send a report to somebody? Does it stop the nuclear missiles from coming out of the ground? Like what is it? And the lady didn't know.
Yeah.
So that was like the level of old technology that, is there. And a lot in the banking industry, there's still these old technologies. That's why I kind of bring that up because what Paystack is doing is like modernizing how money can move from person to person, how companies can get paid, and how you can integrate all these things like M-Pesa and cards and different platforms together to make it just easy where you can send money, because in a lot of parts of Africa it's still not like kind of like it is in Kenya, right? In Kenya M-Pesa is pretty easy, but M-Pesa charges are so high, like why would you want to pay these high M-Pesa charges if something could be more efficient?
Oh, so Paystack is it's a household for finance transfer.
Yeah, it's like a platform that could, allows payments to be made. So if you go onto like a website and you're going to put in your credit card or your M-Pesa, sometimes you'll see a pop-up that says enter your credit card details. It's like a company that's one of the things that it does. It helps you, pay for things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what are some of the cultural adjustments that you had to make while working here?
Yeah, so there a lot of cultural adjustments, I would say. It was very kind of shocking. I think like a good example is like the timeliness of things. Things move at a very much slower pace.
Of course.
And like a good example that I'll give of this is that it was in Uganda, and there was, when you go to hotels or restaurants and you're going to be eating, and they had this menu, this very beautiful menu. It had 350 different options on the menu. Pizzas, pastas, burgers, everything. And of course, you know how it works. You start asking, I'll have this pizza. We don't have that one. Okay, I'll have the spaghetti. No, that's not available. So, you finally learn and say, tell me, okay, what do you have?
What do you have?
And so the lady says, we have chicken in a basket. Okay, that's fine. We'll have chicken in a basket. And it took a very long time to bring the food, maybe like 1.5 hours to bring the food.
And then restaurants in okay, I don't know if that happens in Uganda,
Yeah.
but in Kenya they bring you first soda.
Oh,
Drink that
maybe,
soda.
yeah, they bring the soda. Things just take so long.
Yeah.
So it took an hour and a half for this food. And what was surprising, then I went to the guy running the restaurant and I said, because it was the only place I knew to eat. So I told the guy, I said, I'm coming back here tomorrow and I'm going to have 2 guests with me. And so what I would like for you to do, we're going to be here at 7 and I'd like you to prepare the chicken in a basket. And so when we come at 7, we don't have to wait for 1.5 hours because we're
Yeah.
busy with our schedule. So, we'll come at 7. And he looks at me, yeah, 7 o'clock sharp.
It will
I
be ready.
understand. We'll have it prepared
Yes.
exactly 7 o'clock. Yeah, everything. Well, another guy ended up joining us. So instead of 2 guests, we had 3 guests. And we came at 7 o'clock sharp. I see the guy there I talked to. Okay, yes, we're here for chicken in a basket, but I'm sorry, we need to add one more for the chicken in the basket.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We waited for 3 hours
Wow.
and the food finally came.
So the instructions you had given before, they were actually not implemented.
Yeah, nothing was implemented. So we waited for
Yeah.
3 hours.
Yeah.
And so after the guests left, and so I went up to the guy and I said, what's going on here? I talked to you. You confirmed 7 sharp,
And then
chicken in
now,
a basket. And he said, sir, I'm so sorry. He said, the problem that you had is because you had only ordered for 2 chicken in a baskets, and then you came and changed the order to 3, and we only had 2 baskets.
yeah.
So we had to go to town to get a basket
Are
to
you
put the
serious?
chicken in.
Okay, that's a lot of work.
We could, we could have had the chicken on a plate.
Yeah.
We didn't care. But it's going to take a long time. If you hear the chicken running back there, it's going to take a long time to get the food.
Yes.
And the other thing I found very interesting that culturally, that was very different is people gift you a lot of like live chickens, live
Yes.
goats.
Yes. You take this home, you slaughter.
Yeah, or if it's not a live animal, it could be like a big goat leg or something they'll just give you to
Yeah.
put in the vehicle with you when you're traveling back. And then, a lot of the food is, mostly normal food, but, sometimes when you go to the villages, they are eating some things that you might not know exactly what it is.
Exactly. And maybe even your palate is not used to it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I would always get very nervous because, culturally you want to be very respectful of somebody's culture and you have to eat what they prepare for you.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, sorry, I'm not going to eat that one.
Yes.
And so, how they have the big plastic, they lift the lids off and they reveal what's inside.
The dishes.
They have the dishes.
Yeah.
Usually they line them out and they have like rice, one's
Yes.
potatoes. So I would always kind of be praying when they would start lifting the lids off because it'd be like, okay, we're good. Rice, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, potatoes, we're
Chicken.
good. There's chicken, okay, we're good. And then I remember one time we went and they lifted all the lids and I got to the end and everything was good. Everything, avocados, it was all fine.
Yes.
So I was like, oh great, we're gonna have some good food. We're gonna enjoy it. And then a lady comes from the back and she said, we have the special pot for you.
Wow. Okay. What was in the pot?
I don't know. But
Yeah.
it was a little scary.
Okay.
Yeah, so
But so far that you've stayed here,
yeah.
which is your favorite food? Or maybe in Africa, in the places you've traveled, which is your favorite food?
There's a lot of stuff that I like. I mean, like they have this G-nut sauce, which we haven't had in Uganda. They put that with this matoke, the bananas. It's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Most of the food is very similar between, I'd say the Kenya food is something kind of similar to what we would eat in Texas in a way. We don't have ugali. I've never had that before, but
Yes.
I mean, I eat it here, but in Texas we don't have that one.
Yeah.
But the food, potatoes, rice, meat, stews, those type of things are
Yeah.
very, very similar. So not a lot of adjustment, but people are very scared when they come to Africa. I know, when my parents come to visit,
Yeah.
they'll pack their suitcase. Instead of clothes, you'll open the suitcase and it will have, nuts,
Yeah.
packaged food,
Yes.
crisps,
Yeah.
dried meats.
Yeah.
And they're very nervous to eat the food.
But even personally, as a Kenyan,
Yeah.
there are some foods that scare me,
Yes.
especially around African culture.
Yeah, which ones scare you?
I think the snails, the ones that are prepared in Nigeria,
Oh gosh, yeah.
I cannot eat that.
Yeah. No, I just traveled to Nigeria last week,
Yeah.
and one of the guys I was with, he was a Kenyan guy, and he was ordering the snails and trying to ask me to participate.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm not eating. No, I don't
As
eat
we
that
know,
one.
snails, you're supposed to put salt so that it can melt and you throw it out.
Yeah, no, not eating that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
what other scary foods that they have?
Yes, there's that. And then there's also some, even in their markets, they have snakes, yeah? They
Yeah.
have roasted snake. And also, I didn't find what is it called? The fermented cassava that is, packed like ugali. I didn't find it
Didn't
interesting.
find that one very good.
But my favorite food from West Africa is their jollof spaghetti.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
quite chilly, but it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
But I think my Kenyan palate is just perfectly okay with whatever we
Yeah.
consume here.
Well, and see, when you travel to some of the countries that have like the French speaking, or the menu, you don't understand what it is, and you have to
Yeah.
always ask, is this one like a monkey? Is it a
Yeah.
gorilla?
Yeah, exactly, because you don't know what you're eating.
Yeah.
So you have to be sure.
Yeah, to be
Yeah.
very careful. So, but most of the time, everything's been the food's been pretty good. But yeah, I mean, just there's a lot of like interesting adjustments. I mean, the traffic here is crazy, I find, compared to US.
Oh
Like,
yeah, the traffic
Yeah.
here is crazy, especially if you're going somewhere, just leave early.
yeah,
Yeah.
to leave early, and it's just so congested. And then the other big adjustment has just been, in the US, power and water are just there all the time.
Yes.
They just never disappear. Now here, like, no power,
No
no water.
notification. Sometimes it just disappears and you're like, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
but like I ran out of water and had to hire like the water tank to come like fill
Wow,
the
and
tank.
fill the tank.
Yeah, but that wasn't so much of a problem. It's just then I started noticing like there was the water coming out of the tank had like newspapers or something inside of it, and
Are you
it
serious?
came into the tank and clogged up my sewage system.
Wow.
Like there's just things that you're just like, what is going on here? And you never know if those water tanks are, because you see they have they call them exhauster next to the clean water tanks, and you're like,
Yes,
do they
yes.
they use those different trucks, or
I
do they
know.
recycle them?
I can imagine. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, you never know what's going on. So yeah, there's
Yeah.
always and then the other thing that was really a shock to me is like the police corruption. I'm
Oh
sure
yeah, it's
that's
a lot.
something.
It's too much, yeah?
It's too much. Well, what was even funny about it is there's this, there's the whole system around it, and particularly being a Westerner, that's the hardest part, is because
Yes.
they target
Yeah.
Westerners. I've always have a problem with my car tire,
Yes.
even if it's a brand new one.
Yeah.
Because I have all my insurance and everything. They come and they say, do you have the fire extinguisher in your car, the
They
lifesaver?
check those small things so that they can see what to extort from
Yes,
you.
exactly. They're always trying something, but I follow all the rules, so
Mm.
they have to look at the tire. Oh,
Mm.
no, your tire's not good.
Yeah.
So that was really annoying. But what was really funny about it is one time my wife had the police, they pulled her over and she couldn't negotiate whatever the payment was,
Yeah.
So they said, no, you have to go to traffic court. I don't know why.
Mm.
Particularly, they just said that she had to go to traffic court.
They usually tell you that to scare you, of course.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things like they were saying, oh, you can go to traffic court, and we were just like, fine, we'll go to traffic court. So we went to the traffic court. They tell you to be there at 9 a.m. Or very early. I don't remember. I think it was very early, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And of course you have to work, so you're having to take off of work to do this, and you need to get through with it very quickly.
Mm.
And of course you show up at 9 a.m. and they take your phone and everything from you, so you don't have any devices. And then you say, well, where's the judge?
Mm.
There's no judges there. There's nobody. It's empty. Oh, the judge will be
Wow.
here at 1 p.m.
And at that time, you've been told to go in the morning.
At 9 a.m. Yeah. So the judge will be at 1 p.m. Of course. So, and then what happens is that so they say, well, go find a place to sit. And there's some empty rooms. One of the empty rooms was like the one we happened to wander into was the anti-corruption courtroom.
Uh-huh.
Nobody's in there. We go and sit down and we're just relaxing because they've already taken our phone and everything. You can't,
Yeah.
you can't leave. And of course, some guys come up to you. Oh, the judge isn't coming till 1 p.m. If we had a little bit of money, I think your court record might disappear.
Yes.
You definitely don't want to sit here till the judge
course,
comes at
yeah.
1. So I don't think anybody who even goes to the traffic court is actually going to
Yeah,
traffic court.
actually, your problem does not get solved even over there.
and which is really sad because you know somebody even being there at the courthouse, they could fix the problem.
Of
Like that,
course.
it's something that's easily
Yeah.
fixable, but
Yeah.
they don't want it fixed
Hmm.
because because people get their cut of whatever's happening there.
And do you know that they usually even enter your car sometimes?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
They just make themselves comfortable and enter and they tell you to drive.
oh yeah, I had one guy ride like 20 kilometers one time.
Yeah.
We got pulled over somewhere, Nakuru or
Hmm.
something, in yeah, they hop in the car with you.
Yeah.
They take your license. They take your
Everything. And then now you get to a point now they want to negotiate with you.
yeah,
How much do you have?
yeah. No, I had to tell my wife to have two different wallets because what she used to do is they would pull her over, and then the police would be like, "Okay, what do you have?"
Mm.
And she would open the wallet, and she'd have like 10,000 shillings of
Wow.
cash there.
And they will ask for that.
They say, now that would be gone.
Mm.
So she has like a special wallet, that has like 200
100
shillings in it.
shillings. Yeah,
Yeah.
50 shillings.
Yeah, okay, yeah. This is all I have. I'm so sorry. I don't, unless you give me your name and your
Yeah.
M-Pesa number, and I can send you to you M-Pesa if you really want to give me your name
And they don't accept that, but they do not accept
yeah,
phone transactions.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's better to have the cash. You say, we can finish this right now with this 200,
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
But that doesn't exist in the U.S. I mean, it used to like a long time ago, but
But now it's
the
very
the, the
possible. Yeah.
laws in the U.S. they crack down on that, and you can't do that in the U.S.
Wow.
If you tried something like that, you'd get in a lot of trouble. The police would
Okay.
get sacked pretty quickly.
Have,
So
have you been to downtown?
to
In Nairobi?
downtown, yeah,
Yeah.
CBD,
Yes.
yeah, oh, yeah,
Downtown. Over there.
yeah, that
There's
side,
a lot of people.
yeah, it's very hard to navigate. Particularly when you're like me and you have bad eyesight, you're trying to like
Yes.
move around, people are pushing
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of foot traffic.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the pickpockets are there. Luckily, I haven't had any problems, like because I'm always very protective. But
Oh, so far nobody has stolen from you in Nairobi.
no, I mean they have from my daughter. My daughter got her phone stolen that way, walking around with it.
And then it was snatched.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
um, I have had a guy. I was looking on the phone here,
Mm.
and my phone has like a ring on the back of it of the phone case, so I can attach it to my finger.
Yeah.
So I was sitting here reading the phone, and the guy, it was at nighttime, and the guy came and he punched through the window, punched me in the head, and tried to grab the phone. But
Wow.
luckily, I had it attached to my finger here,
Yeah.
so he
You
couldn't.
couldn't get away
He
with
couldn't
it.
get away with it. So
Oh.
some guys have tried that. So I don't like going to town very often, just because, particularly being a Westerner, it's like you become kind of a target.
Yeah, you become a target. And
I
sometimes
don't go out at 4 a.m. partying, or try to, spend a lot of time down in town. If I
Mhm.
go there, I mean, I used to spend a lot of time in the slum areas when I first came here, with
Mhm.
the feeding programs and everything. And, um, even I would meet other Westerners who would come in and, they'd be like, oh, I've got a friend down in Kibera. I'm going to go have dinner with him tonight at 11
In
p.m.
Kibera.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
11.
We're gonna go. I'm gonna go by myself at nighttime.
Mm. Yeah.
It's like no,
No,
don't
no,
involve
no,
me in
no, no,
that.
no, 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 no. That one is unacceptable. Even me personally, I can't go to that place at 11.
Yeah, no, we're not
Yeah.
going there at nighttime. No,
Yeah.
so it's quite crazy.
So briefly, we can look at the industry insights when it
Yeah,
comes to tech and the ecosystem.
yeah,
What are some of the trends, the tech trends that you have taken interest in, especially here in Nairobi or even in East Africa or Africa?
yeah. Sure. I
Mhm.
mean, I think there's quite a bit. I mean, like I was mentioning earlier, I think they call it fintech. The
Mhm.
financial system.
Yeah.
Money kind of rules a lot of things,
Mm.
particularly moving money between people and between countries.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons that Kenya had, started the growth cycle kind of slowly after independence, is
Yeah.
that you're kind of isolated from the other economical systems. You don't have access to dollars, you don't have access to different currencies and
Mm.
trade with other people that easily. So that's opening up a lot now. So where, you know, like I mentioned, when I first came to Kenya, it was very hard for me to send money from the US to Kenya.
Yeah.
Now I've got multiple apps. I can easily make those transfers,
Of
right? So
course.
I think the technology around just continuing to make that faster. Now we have things like cryptocurrency. They call these things stable coins, where you can have
Mm.
all that means it's like a coin that's, you can't fluctuate in value a lot. It's like the value of a dollar
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Things like this will open up where people can trade these things like very easily, and you know, because the Kenya currency kind of goes up and down, and
Yes,
it's
it's
very
always,
volatile. And
yeah.
now, now I can get you dollars. and that could be very valuable to people.
Mm.
So much technology is around that, and there's so much more that's left to be done
Of course.
there. And of course, then the AI boom is like a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that changes a lot because people have one, access to more information, and two, be able to kind of make smarter systems very quickly.
Yeah.
It's in all walks of life in tech, whether it's having AI program code for you. You just give it a prompt, say I want some code to make this website, or I want to
Yeah.
make some system, and it'll do it for you.
Mm.
To building out better systems that can compete with the U.S. and
Of
in
course.
European countries much faster, because
Yeah.
you can program these systems. It's like an intelligence, so you don't even have to be the best programmer, but you can build a system that
Yeah.
do that. And then I mean, I really hope there's a lot of tech that's going to be coming around healthcare. uh, People are saying, like, why do we still have this malaria problem here? Why do we, I mean, I think doctors are missing a lot of information. I know a lot, I've seen a lot of like medical misdiagnosis here.
I know. A lot has been happening in the health industry, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's very sad because a lot of people are losing their lives as well because of
Oh,
that.
I
Yeah.
mean, people are really losing their lives, and I think it's so preventable. And I don't know what the solution is, but you'd hope to see different technology. I don't know if it's like, there needs to be more diagnostic equipment, more training, more, maybe there's more videos out there.
I
Doctors
know.
can
Yeah.
get more information, about what's causing issues.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've even seen a lot of just medical, even I talk to the doctor sometime, and I know like what they're telling me is not correct.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm not a doctor, but I know, like, if they tell me, for instance, I was talking to a guy, and I was running the Safe Boda business, and he say, oh, these bodas, the motorcycle, drivers, they're dying by the day. It's such a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's such a horrible thing. It's so unsafe.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, he's talking about like the helmets and the crashes. He said the reason they're dying is because they don't wear their puffy jacket, and they die of the cold.
Yeah.
Which is not. There's nothing medically, there's nothing medical about getting cold that would cause you to die.
Of course.
It's just, but there's like the mentality of like these things that cause, that are culturally passed down, that people think will cause illness. So, yeah, it's been interesting, but I think, yeah, there's so much that can happen here.
Of course. Yeah.